Hey, it's Chris, your least favorite Kickstarter peddler, Liege of Games. Let's do this. The week with Sleeping Gods and everything else. No, just kidding. Sleeping Gods, The Great Wall, Castles by the Sea. There are some solid games. Space Lions, which I'm going to talk about. Again, game you've probably never heard of. But this past week, very solid. I'm actually backing, at the time of filming this for you guys, 2 things from this past week. And I could see myself backing 2, if not even maybe 3 of these games coming up this week, depending on price points, availability, exclusivity, why get it now sort of things. If you like this, if you want to see more of this, smash the like button. Help YouTube, help me, help you. That's all I got. Let's talk about the big ones this week. We're going to go right into it. Let's do this. Look, I was sort of joking, sort of not joking with it being Sleeping Gods and everything else, because the Great Wall reprint is really going to, give it a money's run for what's going to run the most next week. But let's be completely fair here. Sleeping Gods is probably going to be one of the most successful crowdfunding campaigns of the year, and if it's not, I'd be surprised. It's riding the hype of all of the big names, which we'll talk about in a second. It's a standalone sequel. It's a 1.5 version, essentially. A 2.0 version, whatever you want to call it. Standalone sequel expansions. They always have betterments of the original. And this has a different aesthetic, branching storylines, a tale that people have loved on a multiplayer, but mostly as well a very strong single player. It's also going to have a reprint of the original, and there have been some minor exclusives that people haven't been able to get, and even at the retail aspect, people haven't been able to get it or keep it in stock for long, so it's still selling really well. Again, fantastic solo play. You look at the Board Game Geek best player count, a 1 to 2. This reminds me more of Seventh Continent in that aspect. Again, all the big names talking about it right there, they love it. What do you need to know? A little bit of a quick open world mini game, 1 to 2 player version of it. And then here you go. Here is the reprint, including the awesome metal coins that, again, sometimes you need to get those. And that's it, though. That's all we know of the campaign itself. Again, they did the dungeon expansion here. There was the Tides of Ruin expansion here. It was sort of an all-in bundle you got a better price for. So what are we going to have going along with this one, right? Because I guarantee that it's not just going to be this big box. And I would guess that this box alone is going to cost you $100. Boom. Now, the only question is, how much is the price increase going to be on the reprint? So that's more of the moneymaker as well, of how much the money is going to be funding evenly between the two, or strongly one versus the other. So again, launching on the 18th, it's going to have all the eyes on it. It's already got 15,000 people almost following it right now. So let's just go straight over here to Great Wall. The Great Wall reprint. Now, again, as the Awaken Realms take on worker placement, the base game is actually relatively well thought of in a worker placement scheme where it plays solo competitive or cooperative, and it's bringing something different to the table in those aspects. It has been very well received for the most part across the community, and so to see it getting a reprint is a good thing. Now, it's interesting because Awaken Realms hasn't really done a reprint on anything, so this is a very, very different test of things. And now this is launching on the 21st, so it's not going head to head, but it's definitely, competing for a similar crowd, I would argue, of worker placement and more of the Euro storytelling. It is more of a Euro storytelling game because it's not using a lot of dice like a lot of the other storytelling open world games are. Basically what I'm saying is I think there's a lot of overlap between the people that are looking at the Great Wall and the people that are looking at Sleeping Gods. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would argue that. Now, what we haven't seen on this page is we haven't seen whether or not they're going to be offering anything new. And I mean, it's gamefound, so it's not like Kickstarter where you have to offer anything new. But I don't know. As Awaken Realms, can they just contain themselves in getting just a reprint? Something new is always coming along. Something new is going along with it. And again, like some of the comments I've had with some of the other Awaken Realm games, and this is not from me. I haven't played this game. This game appeals to me on a, if somebody brought it over, I'd play it, but I'm never going to buy it sort of situation as a not a big worker placement fan in general speak. That, do you need expansions? Can you do more with less? That seems to be the consensus with some of the Tainted Grail and mainly with Nemesis. And I've heard a little bit of rumblings with the Great Wall, but I can't tell you for sure either way. Now, again, I always give them credit where credit is due, not pledge locking miniatures in to raise the price point. But again, there's nothing else on this page, so we know nothing about the actual campaign itself. So how do you feel about that? Or are you just going to get in and reprint it? I mean, we'll see. Raised a lot of money the first time, has almost 12,000 backers following it as well already, so there you go. Now we're just gonna stay on GameFound here for a second, because this is probably the most campaigns I've ever seen launch in GameFound in a week. Next up is Space Lion from Soulless Game Studio. You've probably never heard of them, but they put out a very underrated 2-player game called Pocket Paragons before, and this is a take on that, only more of a 2 to 4-player game. And this one is also launching on the 19th. I'm very interested in this one. Pocket Paragons is a game I've had on my radar since last fall, when it was getting sort of a little bit more notice at some of the conventions, and I heard people talking about it. And so I've been following these guys, and this was their next project. This reminds me sort of your Sakura Arms meets Battle Line Medieval meets that sort of game. Because as you're doing this, you're managing an army of 7 cards, you decide how to use them, and you deploy them face down into lanes. And they have effects, and then you choose how they're going to be resolved based on the order. Highest strength in the lane wins. Well, that sounds a lot like Battle Line Medieval, but there are also bases, towers, and other players. Destroy enemy bases to win. So maybe more like Battle Line Medieval and Radlands almost. And it's cool aesthetic. Looks interesting. Rulebook is there already if you want to check it out. And how to play. I am really watching this one. It reminds me a little bit of also the one that's going up against, currently on GameFound, Blade Rondo. But, I mean, they're 2 different games, sharing only probably the similarity of their 2-player games, although this one says can be up to 4, so I'm assuming it's a 2 versus 2. But if you look at that picture there for a second, maybe I'm wrong, because it looks like you have players on all 4 sides. And that would be interesting. I don't know how that's going to work, but if you can make that work, I am super intrigued, because I don't have many of those games. I can't play Exceed with 4 people, right? I can't play Yomi with 4 people. You can, but not really. Even Twisted Fables, I mean, it's 4-player, but not, I mean, it's a 2-player mainly game. So if you can give me something a little bit different, then it fits a very nice spot in my collection. I wasn't able to play test it beforehand, but I mean, $39 there for the pledge point, it looks like. Color me intrigued, color me very interested already in 2 of these first 3 games. Now, the 4th game, well, actually, I know I said I was going to stick with GameFound, but we're going to go back over here. And that's because this game, Castles by the Sea, is probably the most likely game I am to back this week. Just because, again, I'm looking at the combination of price point and interest. As sort of a lighter, filler-like game, more of a family-style game from Brotherwise Games, also launching on the 19th, where you're building a 3D sandcastle, right? Sort of, as they said, Santorini meets sandcastles, if you will. And it looks really cool. I like the spatial side of things. I don't have many like this. I have the upcoming Block and Key, but that's about it. And so if this can do what Santorini did with more of a dexterity building vibe, I'm going to be hard pass to miss on this one. But again, like the recently finished campaign of Hamlet, where the only benefit of getting it was a super deluxeification. I don't know what this is going to look like from Brotherwise Games, and that's probably some of the stuff with this one or Space Lion that's maybe going to keep me from backing it. I mean, that's also probably the same reason I didn't get Sleeping Gods the first time around. It was a slightly better or equivalent price point, maybe not even with the shipping included. You can't get it at retail because of availability, but it's not like you're drastically missing out on, Kickstarter goodies or exclusives or things like that. That's probably the biggest barrier to me backing anything this coming week, regardless of how much I'm backing or have backed in the last 2 or 3 weeks, right? So again, it just looks like a great concept. We haven't seen a lot of this, and so I really want to see what Brotherwise Games can do. Impress me, and I will be in on your project, and so will a lot of other people. So this one's flying under the radar. It reminds me most similarly of Paradox Initiative this past week, a game that I think is going to be really, really good at retail, but people are going to overlook because it doesn't have all the bling, the plastic, or even necessarily as much, deluxeifications maybe as some other stuff. So there you go, launching on the 19th. Now we'll go back over, and we will go back over on the 19th to Assault on Doomrock. Now this is going to be the Ultimate Edition from BD Games, also launching on the 19th. So this is interesting. This is the Ultimate Edition. And so again, Ultimate Edition, you're going to get everything. I am familiar with this title. I remember watching this on crowdfunding originally when it came out, but the theme just never really grasped me. And what you're doing is you are heroes trying to navigate this 3-act fantasy campaign in a roguelike video game manner in order for, it to be every time a little bit different. Sort of like a Diablo Hades-esque sort of vibe. Now, again, this is the 4th edition. Okay, take that for what you will. Subscribe if you want to get the free add-on, so you follow if you want to right now. Premium game board is what it looks like. So, again, there you go. So, what are you actually doing when we scroll down here? Create a hero, trait, class. Okay, straightforward. Generate the hero with their abilities. Okay, great. You start on the map. Okay, then you're making decisions. Setting cards are going to change what happens and how much the party does or interacts with or even battles. And you're going to be able to obviously equip your character with various items or conditions that are going to affect them one way or the other. Equip, battle, level up, synergy, dice, tokens. Now, AI-controlled system, grindless combat, as they say here. I don't know. This one is sort of flown under a lot of radar, I feel like. This looks really cool in concept, but I also don't see people talking highly of the previous editions. So I'm a little uncertain on does it hold up? Is it comparable to other things out there? Does it offer something unique and different? Because that seems, again, to be the biggest factor nowadays, too. Especially if you have a slightly larger collection like I do. So if you're a previous backer, why are you even interested in this? The Ultimate Edition. Better, bigger cards. Shortened playtime. Now that is seriously intriguing there. Okay, new icons, great. New UI, great. Rebalancing, great. Again, though, 4 editions to rebalance. That's a little bit, if you're one of the first or second or third editions, how do you feel about that? Integrated expansions. Again, all of this stuff sounds great. Twice the content of the second edition with an expansion included. Dev Diary. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of video content, especially from the first couple editions. So we'll see. A lot of the artwork isn't loaded here, so that's fine. But, no big deal. I won't bore you with white pages and green words there. Again, I am going to have it on my radar because I like the idea of this. And as several of you have commented in the comment section below, like me, that if this was 3 or 4 years ago, I would be backing this, no questions. But this is also a game where I wonder if I can get it to the table with the overhead, with the relearning, with the just what does it bring different. Either way, I'm going to be checking it out when it launches on the 19th. We'll do the last one on gamefound, and then we'll go over. And this is Bedeville Carnival. I have a video of this one as well. I was able to trial this one out from Ludo Ninja. And again, this one's also launching on the 19th. This is sort of a zombie-esque horror carnival game with a little bit of engine building, resource management. And again, it's got a variable board in the sense that it's circular, and you're going to be moving around it in a slightly different manner than what you're used to. And where you land determines what card gets activated, and then the power activates, and then you can buy one of the souvenirs, and it's trying to buy as many souvenirs as you can before they run out to score victory points based on the resources in the middle. And you'll have 2 potential AIs going around the outside here, a cat, I forget the cat's name, and basically a Grim Reaper type person who will potentially interact with you, knock you off the board, or even change the spots, the attractions around the outside that you're going to. Then obviously different attraction, different power, different dynamic on the board. So again, everything you need to know is on there. I'll have a video coming out shortly over the weekend, either tomorrow or Monday, and everything you'll need to know on a little bit of Bedeville Carnival. Next up, we have Autobahn, also launching on the 19th. It's the big highway in Germany, right, in Europe. But if you can't tell, in case the imaging is not readily apparent, this is not a racing game. This is an economic strategy game of building the Autobahn over like 3 generations from the World War II to the present day. You're managing it, but you're also developing it, not only the highway itself, but things along the highway, managing the goods and resources that are traveling along it, but building things to make it prosper as well, getting on the board of the Autobahn corporation, of whatever corporation's building it, so that your budget will increase from era to era. Now, if you look at this blown up, this is really blown up here, route building as well as pick up and deliver style of game, you have 7 different actions in which you're going to be taking, and I'm assuming some of these are ones up at the top here. And then you have obviously the different eras that I mentioned here that you're going through. And again, a lot of iconography, These are the routes you're going to be connecting and making. I mean, this is just a lot of stuff going on that you're going to be dealing and managing with. Does this style of economic management strategy pique you or not? Now, it does say tech trees as well as solo play is going to be out here. So Alley Cat Games, we'll see what they got in store for us on the 19th when it launches. Now, this other one is really interesting. Ultraman. This is Ultraman based on the anime series. And someone says that they have a licensed version of it that they're producing an expandable card game, right? An expandable card game. So take that for what you will. There is no Board Game Geek page right now, but this is the page on BackerKit, which is going to be launching on the 22nd. So if you are an Ultraman fan, now you know. One more for sure, and then one maybe here. Elric, Rise of the Young Kingdoms, is launching on the 18th as well. This is a self-published, apparently miniature, but one of the main mechanisms listed on the Board Game Geek page is tile placement, actually. You are making your way through this legendary city trying to acquire the most wealth while fighting off looters who are trying to do the same. Apart from that, there's not really a other description on Board Game Geek, right? The only other picture is this, which again doesn't give you a whole lot of information. Even the description itself is relatively short. Traps, mercenaries, demons, no danger frightens them, for who carries away the most precious spoils becomes the new master, if he survives the awakening of dragons. So again, that's about it. I've seen a couple of Facebook ads, so I know it's coming, but there you go. The other one that's sort of a question mark right now is a game called Pandemonium Estates. This one I have as a question mark on the 19th. There's no information in the forum section here, and it's a self-published game, but this is a pick up and deliver point-to-point movement style game for 2 to 5 players where you're in an interdimensional mansion, because, I mean, why wouldn't you? You're like an interdimensional Mystery Incorporated, right? It's consuming objects and people and trapping them in the mansion. You can play a storyline mode as one of 8 characters, but you have to complete various tasks in order to gain enough to return to your homeworld. But that's about all we know. So, no links, no anything else. But there you go. And last up on GameFound, we have Lawyer Up Season 2. Got delayed a week. Rock Manor Games, going to be launching on the 19th. $5 discount if you're following already. This is a 2-player prosecution versus defense, new scenarios, new campaigns, new going head-to-head, and it's basically Ace Attorney in an asymmetrical card game-driven tabletop situation. And again, new Season 2, new cases. Divorce case expansion, 3 cases there. Private Eye case, 3 cases there. And the heist case, whatever that one is right there too. So new stuff, all new stuff. I would imagine if this is anything like the previous GameFound things we're talking about, where they're launching 2.0s, you're probably going to get 1.0 as well. I'd be shocked if you can't, but reminds me a little bit in a way of Unsettled in that sense that they're probably going to offer it. So again, if you're interested, got delayed a week, but here you go. Lawyer Up Season 2. So on to the over-unders from last week. First up, I said Dark Quarter versus The Field. Anything going to beat Dark Quarter? No, nothing's going to beat Dark Quarter. It's at about $500,000 at the time of me filming this. The only other closest thing is DC Deck Building, which again is doing amazing for a Cryptozoic crowdfunding, which they really haven't done that before. They're actually putting out a very good campaign. I'm very impressed. I was not expecting that quality of a campaign. Check it out if you're interested. But Dark Quarter still takes the cake. Ha ha. Casting Shadows over or under $3.25 million. It broke $4 million. So I picked the over. I got it right, but it was way over. So that was an interesting run at the end there. Spoilers, ended up keeping it for just $1. I'm still undecided. This whole, we're going to give you a gameplay video, but never do it. It irritates me because that's what they did with Here to Slay. So I don't know. Reselling, it's fine. And I know I would make my money back, but I just can't do it for that. I want to like the game in the first place. So I'm undecided. Darkest Doom was the next one up. And I said over under 450,000, which it only got the 358. So 359, which is only 388. So I said over and I was wrong. That one's under. Last up, I said over under 150,000 euros for Nightmare Cathedral. It ended with 174, so at least I got that one right too. I'm doing pretty good this week. Sorry. Now, last one. Over under 3.5 games breaking 100K. Well, let's see what we got here. Dark Quarter, well over. DC Deck Builder, well over. Escape from Stalingrad. Is Escape from Stalingrad going to make it? Ooh, 87,000. I don't think it's going to make it by the time this video launches. So I don't think that's going to happen. However, sneaking in over here on GameFound, Last Light broke 100,000, 185,000, and shocker of all shockers, the very kind of weird, infamous, sketchy, all rolled into one. Not sure where this is going to go. Robotech actually already got over $100,000 too. So that's 4 games, folks. Guess I was right again. There you go. Now, what should we do this week? Okay, let's just do it. This week's over-under. Does anything beat Sleeping Gods? Sleeping Gods or the Field? I mean, when I say that, I really mean, does the Great Wall repaint get more than Sleeping Gods? Great Wall, let's just simplify it down to that, because those are the 2 biggest. You're either going to go with one or the other. And I'm going to go with Sleeping Gods. I'm going to go with Sleeping Gods just based on the acclaim. The Great Wall reprint is going to get a ton of money too. It's going to get 7 figures. Both of these are going to get 7 figures. But I'm going to give the edge just slightly. I don't think it's going to be as big discrepancy-wise as otherwise you might think, but that's why I'm going to go with Sleeping Gods, number 1. You know, with all this stuff launching on GameFound that I mentioned, let's put the over-under on total games breaking 100K again. Let's make it, you know, Sleeping Gods guaranteed. Great Wall reprint, probably guaranteed. I'm going to say Lawyer Up, probably guaranteed, as well as Assault on Doomrock. That's 4 games right there. Now, here's the question. Does a 5th game, the over-under this week on games breaking 100K US dollars is 4.5. I'm going to go... I really don't see any of these other games breaking 100K. So I'm going to go under, actually, on this one. I'm going to go under. Probably shouldn't. There's probably going to be something that comes out of nowhere that does it, but I'm going to go the under there. So the next one, we'll put the over-under for Feralis Obscure Land, the deck construction mage versus mage style game. It's at 92, almost 93,000 right now. Let's put that at 130,000. 130,000 over-under. I'm going to go under on that one. And we also ending on the same day as Dead by Daylight from Level 99 Games at 760 right now. Let's put it at even a mil. Let's put it at an even million. And I'm going to go under. You know what? Let's make it a little bit more difficult. A million is far off. Let's say 900,000. I'm still going to go under, but I think it's going to be closer than you might think. 900,000 under. So there you go. That is the roundup this week. A little bit of everything. Stuff I think is going to fly under a lot of people's radars, but really, really good. Sort of like Iconoclash if you missed it, or Sayu from this past week. Again, lots of these small games are very serious games at the same time. And they're going to make a lot of people happy. They just aren't going to have the bling that some of the other ones will. And that's okay. It's okay too. TV time. TV time. I am finishing up Sky Castle. I'm getting through Sky Castle, the K-drama on Netflix. And I found 2 other dramas. One is Old Horses, I believe it's what it's called. It's a BBC where all of these basically washouts from MI5, they're in like the distant house off main campus of MI5. And they've all done something to screw up completely, and they end up with this major case on their lap, which is a calamity of problems. Now, it's a drama. It's not a comedy. And you get to see how it entails. It's slowly releasing every week right now. And then there was I'm trying to think of what language it is. It's a Nordic noir type of series. It's called Thaw. A prominent attorney's daughter is found murdered. And they're trying to figure out who did it, essentially. It's good. It's good, though. It's one of the better ones I've seen recently. So, back and forth on Top Boy. Haven't really gotten back into it lately with all the Sky Castle stuff. Which, again, is a very interesting drama about the pressure of academics and the pressure of parents on kids to do well. Not necessarily because the kids want to do well, but then trying to live vicariously through them. So, it's a little drama-y at times, but it's solid. It's keeping me relatively entertained. Apart from that, a week from today, kids soccer games. Kids soccer games. Let me tell you, again, wrangling cats last week at the 8-year-old's practice. Thankfully, the 6-year-old doesn't have a practice like separate from them. It's only a half an hour before the game and then the half an hour game. But boy, howdy, those 7 and 8-year-olds, 6, 7, 8-year-olds right there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Just ridiculous. Kid has 3 of his friends on the team. So, I mean, it's kind of a blessing, but then it's kind of a curse too, because he's a little bit too like yucking it up with them. And dad's coach, and I'm a little bit lax. I'm kind of a people pleaser at times. So anyway, that's all I got. Yeah. Channel's kind of going along. Don't really have a whole lot to add at this point. Patreon people, I owe you a couple things this weekend. You'll get it. I've been a little bit behind on stuff. I've got a couple interesting topical videos that I've been editing and want to get out, but it just hasn't timed wise with getting some of these other games and thoughts on games out for some of the deadlines. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to change this setup too. I got to get better production so more people are interested in me. I'm just not that interesting, so I got to work on that. That's all I got. Stay classy. Have a great weekend. Play something. Or not. If you got time. If you don't, that's cool too. I'm trying to get... My goal would be 30 new games in April. 30 new games to me. And I'm already almost 2/3 of the way there. So, depending on what happens this weekend, I might be a little bit closer. We'll see. Getting rid of that shelf of opportunity, shame.